Hello there, and welcome to a new show, which is called Cool Bitcoin Shit. I'm not sure if you heard that or if it was censored. I'm still experimenting with this. But it's a fun little sound, and what we're gonna do today is something very special that every Bitcoiner should be doing. It's part of becoming sovereign and part of having this experience with financial sovereignty. It's called running a Bitcoin full node. And if you want to run a Bitcoin full node, you don't need $500 worth of hardware. You don't need to buy a different device, a different computer. You don't need to build anything. It's just like in the case of taking photos. If you want to take photos, the best camera is not the one that you want to buy from a fancy video store or photograph store. The best camera that you have is the one that you already own. And in the case of running a full Bitcoin node, the best kind of situation that you can have is to basically use the computer that you already have. So we're gonna go to bitcoincore.org, not .com. And let me explain to you how we're going to do this, because we are on the Bitcoin Core website right now, and we're about to download Bitcoin Core, which is the reference client for running the Bitcoin software. It's not official in the sense that there's a company behind it. It's maintained by a team of developers. And what I'm going to be using for this use case is a Windows laptop. Why a Windows laptop? And it sounds counterintuitive. Well, because most of you already have a Windows laptop. It's the computer that you most likely already have. It's one that has very average specs. So if we look at this, so we type dxdiag, and it's gonna show the specs that I have on this particular device. Anyway, this is live streamed on both Twitter and YouTube. And let's see. The processor that we have is an i7 4-core whatever. It's using Windows 10. i7 7500U CPU with 4 cores, and we have 16 gigabytes of RAM. And this is overkill. It's much more than you need for Bitcoin. If you want to run Bitcoin Core, all that it takes is just to have a computer which has a decent processor that was made in the last maybe 10 years, and also at least 2 gigabytes of RAM. So you can do it on a Raspberry Pi. And if you go to this download section, you're going to see that you have all the OSs. But at this point, I should minimize myself, my own face, put myself in the corner so that you can see a lot better what it is that I'm doing here. So I'm gonna be here next to this sponsored section where you can see that the two sponsors of Bitcoin Takeover as a project are Voltoro and Wasabi Wallet. So thank you guys for always supporting my work. And as you can see, Bitcoin Core is available on Windows, on Mac OS, Linux, ARM Linux, and this is the one that you use if you're operating with a Raspberry Pi or what's it called, like a Pine 64 or Arduino or whatever. And there's also RISC-V. RISC-V is an open source hardware device. It's the most expensive of all. It costs about $10,000 to get one of these computers, but it's also the most secure and the one that you know that does what you think it does. There's no backdoor involved. But you know, the point of this video is to get you to run Bitcoin Core on the computer that you already have and get to become sovereign in a very quick way that anyone can do on their computer right now. And right now I'm using a Windows laptop specifically because Satoshi launched Bitcoin on the laptop, not on a laptop, but on Windows. I'm not sure if it was a laptop or whatever, but you know, this is the native OS, I guess, for BTC. And I'm going to get the latest version, which is 23. And what else? You just saw one of the drawbacks of the Windows OS, that it has all of these bloatware software, which remind you all the time that you need to do something that you don't want to. I'm going to install Bitcoin Core. And there's also a second dimension to this installation, and this rhymes when you say it, dimension with installation. And you want to verify that you are downloading what you want. So there's this section which says verify your download. How do I know that this website is legit and is truly the one which offers you the Bitcoin Core experience? It could be phishing, it could be malware. I can never trust that what I see on the screen is correct. I mean, yeah, that's a fair assessment. So I'm going to go to Windows verification instructions and follow all the steps. In here it says download verification is optional but highly recommended. Performing the verification steps here ensures that you have not downloaded an unexpected or tampered version of Bitcoin, which may result in loss of funds. Click one of the lines below to view verification instructions for that platform. Right now I'm on Windows, so let's see if I'm downloading the right software. What I have to do is click the link in the list above to download the release for your platform and wait for the file to finish downloading. So first we need to actually download. I'm going to put it in program files, even though it's not optimal. If you can put it on a different partition, please do that. You know, Windows is easy to get infected with viruses. You should have a partition which doesn't get infected like the OS, just in case, you know. And what else? Start menu folder. Yeah, sure. Create shortcuts and whatever. And right now it's installing on a machine which is pretty average. So it might have an i7 processor, but it's one that was mid-range even by 2016 standards. And it's not, you know, top of the line by any means. It's very basic. And another very important mention that I have to make at this point is that we're going to run a pruned node. And what is a pruned node? It means that it's going to constantly only keep the latest records about transactions. And those are the ones that are going to include your transactions. Because if you install a new wallet, you don't really need, especially if you don't recover from older funds and it's gonna be a new one, you don't really need to verify what has happened before. You don't need to store all of that information on your hard drive. And one complaint that people have outside of the high cost for running a node in terms of getting a separate device or keep it running 24/7 or whatever, another criticism is the amount of disk space that's required. In the case of Bitcoin right now, it's like 460 gigabytes. The people who had 500 gigabyte hard drives have to upgrade to 1 terabyte and whatever. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to store every block from Genesis. If you're going to have a new wallet, which is going to receive new transactions from this point onwards, from this block onwards, then you can run a pruned one. And I have 24 gigabytes of space available, but I can also use a custom data directory. Let's see if I can put it in a different partition. This laptop used to belong to my father, so I'm not very well acquainted with what's inside of it. But it seems like I only have one partition and I only have 24 gigabytes, but that's fine because I'm going to follow the instructions that are on the Bitcoin Core website. And here it says something, so where are the instructions? There's a part where it says that you should keep at least 6 gigabytes. I keep on mumbling tonight, but this is the recommended amount of data that you should be keeping, so I'm gonna bump it to 6. I guess everyone has 6 gigabytes on their computer. You know, 6 gigabytes is like one DVD and a half. It's a movie, basically. You must have that in 2022. It says here that it's sufficient to restore backups 18 days old. Yeah, so if you want to back up an older wallet, which has a longer history, then you want to sync from at least the block where you have the first transaction in that wallet. But if it's going to be a new one, as in this case, there's no reason for you to actually download everything. There is that explanation usually, which says that by running a node, you are helping the network. But I'm not going to open the ports, and that's a different discussion that we should be having about port forwarding, as by default, you're not going to have port 8333 open in your router. And in most of the cases, you cannot really open it by yourself. You're going to need to contact your internet service provider and ask them to perform that duty for you to enable you to open that port. Anyway, let me start so I can go on with the explanation while it's syncing. And the Microsoft firewall is prompting me that this application is trying to access networks, and I'm going to allow it. And this is what the syncing screen looks like. It's not gonna take very long because it only gets the headers for the blocks that are up to the last, I guess, how much does it mean in terms of 6 gigabytes? If one block is like 1.5 megabytes in size, then 6 gigabytes, I guess, is like 4 million blocks, maybe. Wait, I should do the math separately. I'm not good at math, but you get the point. Now it's syncing, and it says that it's gonna take 1 year and 16 weeks until it finishes, but it should be less than a couple of hours. And now let's talk about port forwarding, which is another issue that's very important. So Bitcoin uses port 8333. If you do not open port 8333 from your router because your ISP does not allow you to, then you can only leech on other nodes so that you can validate and communicate with the rest of the network. So you cannot broadcast the blocks so the others can download it from you. You can only be communicated through one channel in one way to the rest of the network. So it's not mandatory, and if you think that you're helping the network in any way, then you're really not, I guess, if you're not opening that port. Or another option, which I think is very important and should be presented right now, is to go to options. And there's network here, and you have connect through socks for proxy, and you click Tor. It should be working. Or use separate socks proxy to reach peers via Tor Onion services. You click OK, but this is going to make the initial sync a lot slower. But this also means that if I connect to the Bitcoin network via Tor routing, it's also going to broadcast the blocks to other nodes. Now, this is not mandatory for self-validation because that's the whole point of a block, not of a block, of a node. You run a full node because you want to verify that the transactions that are coming to you are correct, are honest, are respecting the consensus rules of the network. You're not really running a node because you're a generous person, because you want to help the network or whatever. So I guess that's one of the myths that I used to believe at one point, that running a node is altruistic when in fact it's egoistic. That's the correct word for it. You're doing it for yourself because you want to validate every transaction by yourself. And there's also the issue of privacy of your public key, as when you're using something like a mobile wallet on your phone, you're going to basically run a light client that connects to somebody else's node. So if you're not running your own node, it means that you are running somebody else's. And if you want to have the privacy of not revealing your public key, then you need to get your own client of Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin knots, or I guess there are quite a few other implementations like libbitcoin. There is no official one, but this is the one on which most developers work, and it's also the most tested. And yeah, it makes most sense to use this one, especially if you're a beginner. So I did set it to Tor, and it's kind of slow right now, but it's not routed via Tor yet. And I'm going to close it. It's shutting down, and when I open it once again, it's gonna have the Tor routing. It's the 16-bit, no, 16, what am I even saying? It's the 64-bit version by default. And now when I go back to the settings, it should show that it's running on Tor. Yeah. And there's also this part on the bottom right corner of the screen. Right here, it says that it's catching up and how many blocks it processed. And in here, it shows how many blocks are connected to you. And there's also a P which says that there's a proxy in the middle. It's gonna be a lot slower right now because Tor, Tor works with onion routing, and it's going to connect to other routing nodes, and there are going to be 3 of them in the middle that take the information and route it to the endpoint, and each one of them does not know where the information comes from, but only knows where to get it. And that's, part of acquiring the privacy. So I'm not sure if it started yet. Hope I got the settings right. Maybe the issue is that I should have only left this one Tor, not a separate SOCKS 5 proxy, but connects through this default Tor proxy. So the mistake was on my side. I should close it once again. And open it. I know that a lot of this sounds complicated, as if, you need to be a master to be able to pull it off. But it's just a point and click experience, and at no point in the history of Bitcoin usability has it been easier to run your own node on your own device. And it's important to do it. And at this point, there is no excuse for you to not do it. And I guess that the way in which it's going to do it is to download the entire blockchain, and it's going to constantly prune the older blocks and only store up to 6 gigabytes. So it's not gonna be as fast as I expected. Truth to be told, I've only synced from Genesis and never chose to prune the older blocks. But right now, the way that it's proceeding is to basically synchronize from the Genesis block and keep on going and delete the older data. Only keep that arbitrary amount, which is 6 gigabytes, stored at one point. And that's going to be it. But it's still not starting for some reason. I also have a VPN on, which is Mulvad, and I know this is a shameless plug, but if you get any of the editions of this year's magazine, right now I have 3 of them. I have one of each right here. This is the one that's not being printed anymore. It was like a very rare limited edition. This was from Pizza Day at Parallelnipolis in Prague. And this is the one from which I can still print copies. There is a cap of 210. And there is an article in it which is about finding VPN solutions and comparing what you need for the right amount of privacy. You can also find this, I'm not sure if I put it in the description, but you can also find it on btctkvr.com, and there's a section called magazine, and you go to this year's magazine and you open it, and it's at page 73. It's this, basically. It's a table where you get all the information about getting privacy for your connection. Network level privacy is very important, as you don't want everyone to know that you are operating with Bitcoin. And a VPN or Tor can be very useful. So it's not starting yet. I'm gonna speed it up. You can still do this. You can run it through a Tor routing. But in this case, it's making it slower, and I want to show you that it doesn't have to be slow. So let's do it like this. Not Bitdefender, but Bitcoin Core. This is the one we're searching for. This is the one we want. This is the one that actually grants any kind of sovereignty at all. So it has about 12 years and 49 weeks of syncing. Most of these blocks are pretty empty. So I guess when it initially syncs up to the year 2016 or something, there's not going to be much. So it's gonna be very fast, and then it's gonna go very slowly. Still, you know, it's a very educational experience that you should try at least once. And you should have a node that you run for yourself to receive transactions. Now, another question that's very important and needs to be answered at this point is, do you need to have your node on all the time to receive transactions? And the answer is no. You only need to open it when you need to use it. So when you send transactions or when you want to verify if you received something. Truth to be told, you only need to have a 24/7 node in the event that you are also running Lightning on top of it. And that's where it's important to have a separate device, as something like a Raspberry Pi or one of these server computers are a lot more reliable for that particular use case as opposed to a laptop, which is more general purpose. You can still do it on a laptop, but it feels kind of like a waste to have a laptop sitting idly in your room. Just get, if you're gonna get dedicated hardware to keep 24/7 online, get something which has been tested to be more reliable at it. As in the case of laptops, it can be hit or miss, depends on the manufacturer, depends on the batch. There can be lots of hardware issues. There can be battery issues. There can be, I don't know, some BIOS settings which don't allow it to stay open for a certain number of hours unless it's always plugged in. I don't know. There can be lots of issues, so if you're going to use a general purpose device, don't use it to keep your node open with Lightning 24/7. Just use it whenever you need to use it. You can do this on your gaming computer, you can do this on your office computer. Just something that, you know, you're going to use at a desk when you're sitting there, but this should not be like your main storage wallet. It can be one where you receive transactions, but make sure you transfer to some sort of cold storage solution or a hardware wallet. And it's also important to make this distinction here that hardware wallets, and right now I have on my desk a Trezor, which is the original 2014 device. A hardware wallet is not really cold storage. It's like a hybrid between the advantages of having your coins in cold storage and the benefits of hot wallets. You need to connect this and you need to put it on the internet to run all the operations. In the case of cold storage, you also need to connect to the internet, but only when you decide to transfer the coins. And something which is cold storage is something like a Cassius coin. And this is like a replica of the Cassius coin. They were made by Mike Caldwell. This is like €1 or something. But It's a replica of what Mike Caldwell was making in 2011, 2012. And those were basically coins that were storing a certain amount of Bitcoin. And you could hold it in your hand, you could pass it on, you could use it as a bearer asset. And there was this BIP38 standard. Something else which is cold storage is called Ballet or BTC Mint, which is basically this, but under a different form. And also OpenDimes are cold storage, but I can't really recommend them because they're not as open source as their name suggests. So we are still downloading here. We're still in 2010. We are still during the era when Satoshi was around. It's not going on very fast, but what's very important right now before we put any Bitcoin in this wallet, it's very important to verify that we downloaded Bitcoin Core from the right source. This can be compromised software, and you don't really want to have compromised software in anything. It's a bad idea. And since we are in this place where we don't trust and always verify, let's run every step in this tutorial and make sure that what we have downloaded is correct. So first of all, you have to click the link, download the release, and wait for the file to finish downloading. Download the list of cryptographic checksums. So you have to open this in a new tab. I don't like that Firefox is in Romanian, but I don't really have a choice right now. I'm gonna change it at some point. So I do have some comments on YouTube, and I need to call you people out for spending time to write comments. So BTits, is it BT? BEA Tits says minimum wage time for me, but always glad to support your stream, Vlad. Feel special to be the only one watching this bear market. Well, I started doing these educational videos especially because it's a bear market, and it seems like people pay more attention. Okay, so I did download this. It seems like people pay more attention when it's a bear market, and they're more willing to get educated, as opposed to bull markets when they only watch videos where they get told about the price and stuff. And Silent Lamb says that he needs the other two. I'm not sure what other two stuff he's referring to, but I guess he can still comment. But thank you guys for watching, and let me get back to the verification part, because this is open source software and you need to verify that it's correct and you have downloaded. Oh, so Silent Lamb says that he needs the other two magazines. You're not gonna find this one because it was only sold on Scarcity and there are only 41 copies made. And this is number 25 because I was born on the 25th of February, so 25 is my lucky number. 25 out of 41, and I didn't keep it for myself. I actually bought it myself because the money was split between me, Cars.City, and Jay Skrilla, who designed the cover, and I actually paid for it, even though I was the one who delivered all the copies worldwide. And I think there's one copy of this one left. If you go to the Parloni Police website, I think there is only one in stock. They made only 50 of them. And this is number 49, which I also signed and numbered when I was there in Prague. But I told them that they can print more, even though they're not going to have my signature on them, but only the first 50 of them are going to have it. I suppose during the Hackers Congress in Prague, which is going to take place in November, I think, or October, they're going to make another special edition. In terms of new content, I'm planning to have a new magazine next year, as in have a new magazine every year, All of these free have the exact same articles, the exact same content, but they have different covers and different numbers and different stories behind them. So if you want to collect them, good luck with that. And Beat Hits says, heckin' rad. I very much appreciate that you say heckin', because I also try, when I name this show, I say that it's cool Bitcoin bleep. It's not shit, it's... I'm trying to be very family friendly right here. Okay, so Silent Lab has that one, and there's also this one, that's the first edition. And 210 of them are gonna be printed. This is number 44. I'm not sure if my camera focuses. But yeah, if you want to collect these, I mean, they're pretty cool. And there's also volume 2 that most people don't print. And you don't need to buy them. That's the fun part. You can just download the files on GitHub or btctkvr.com, and you can print your own copy. It's not going to be signed and numbered by me, but you get to have the content, and this is the most important part. You know, some people like to collect these and keep them as collector's items, but there are also people around the world who need the information that's contained inside. And it's important for them to be able to access and also to print, to bring to conferences, to bring to meetups, to all sorts of events. And this year, I'm going to have more special editions. There's going to be one in Riga at the Baltic Honey Badger, and I hope that some of you guys are gonna be there. Satoshi Urban says, much love from Munich. Bitcoin will change everything. Keep hodling. Keep hodling, Satoshi Erden. And we should get to the verification immediately. I was talking about the magazine, telling you guys that there's going to be a special edition this year at the Baltic Honey Badger Conference. There's also going to be one at the Hackers Congress in Prague. And there's going to be 2 translations, one in Spanish and the other one in French. The plan was to launch the French one at Surfing Bitcoin in August, but it seems like, you know, it's very expensive to go to Biarritz, which is the city where it takes place. So I'm going to reallocate the resources to print magazines, as opposed to pay $1,000 for 2 nights of hotel. So, yeah. There's going to be a French translation and a Spanish translation. And they're going to be different in terms of content from this one, in the sense that they can have extra articles and they can miss some articles. Like, there's an article about my podcast. My podcast is in the Bitcoin Takeover podcast, by the way. You should subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Breaker, or whatever. There are lots of platforms out there. They'll get the audio from the same RSS feed, but you can subscribe, you can leave, you know, feedback, you can subscribe to this channel and like this video. It helps. But where was I getting with this? Yeah, let's stop talking about self-promotion and actually verify. So it says open a terminal command line prompt and change directory to the folder used for downloads. For example, this one. Okay, so I should verify where I have downloaded Bitcoin Core. It's in the downloads folder. So right now what I have to do is go to the command prompt, which is like cd, no. Let's see which directories I can open. And I need to open downloads. This is like 4th grade computer science that I learned in school using MS-DOS. Open a terminal command and change directory to the folder. Yeah, so I did this. Run the following command to generate a checksum of the release file you downloaded. Replace Bitcoin 3023.0 with the name of the file you actually downloaded. So I have to type cert util hash file, not life, Bitcoin, and then I need to actually copy the name of the file. So I'm gonna do two operations to copy and paste. Once again, this is not really mandatory, but if you're into verification, you need to do this. The name of the file is this, which I'm going to copy. And then I type SHA-256. There's still something extra here that I need to remove, which is the double Bitcoin name. Now SHA-256. Hope this is correct. It says error, the system cannot find the file specified. Well, very strange. File not found. Let's see if this is still syncing. It says that it's gonna finish in 4 weeks. It's gonna be more like 20 hours maybe, if I leave it online the whole time. But you know, nodes are historians. Nodes are a way for you to store the information that has happened in the Bitcoin network since the creation of the network. It's a very cool way to become part of being a first-class citizen. This is what running a node is all about. It's about you making that extra step towards becoming sovereign and validating your own transactions. So you should do this, even though it may look cumbersome, inconvenient, slow. You know, it feels like it wastes energy and resources as opposed to downloading an app on your phone. But if you download an app on your phone, you're not really sovereign. So you must do this. It's part of the trial by fire, which makes you a true Bitcoiner. So let's get back to this and let's figure out what's wrong. I can type this by hand, and maybe that the way in which I copied the file name. Oh, this is what's wrong. It was supposed to be .exe. So let's try again. I forgot to type .exe, which is the extension for executable files in Windows. So I go here and type .exe. And right now it says hash Bitcoin 23 Windows 64 setup exe. I have this cryptographic hash and says certification util hash file command completed successfully. Ensure that the checksum produced by the command above matches one of the checksums listed in the checksums file you downloaded earlier. We recommend that you check every character of one of the two checksums to ensure they match. You can see the checksums you downloaded by running the following command. Type 200, okay. Type SHA 256 sums. So where did I download these sums? It's important to know. Also in downloads, can I open this in Notepad? Yes, I can. So right here I have all of these checksums. And when I did this verification, it generated this 418 blah blah blah. I'm supposed to search for this in this file. The command line one was only meant to automate the process, but I can also do it manually. So I do have the Windows 64 one set up. I guess this is the one. So I'm supposed to verify that this is the same as this. Is it the same? Let's see. So it's 4198. I need to make it larger potentially because this is very small. So how can I zoom in? 4198 EBA8EC 326D87. Okay, so I'm gonna verify from here onwards. I can see that, you know, when you have to verify stuff like this, it's very hard for it to have the same first four and first last digits. So 4198 is correct. And there's 911 at the end, 911. This means that basically right here I have a list of SHA 256 sums that are valid. And this is the sum that I verified from the file. And it seems like it is valid. So I did get the right file. So I verified that the file that I downloaded is the one that I wanted to download, is the correct one. So I did not get malware, I did not get any kind of modified Bitcoin software that's going to steal all of my Bitcoins. I know that this is the correct software that I need to use. So right now, what else do I have to do? If you haven't previously installed GNU Privacy Guard on your system, or GPG, install it now or see other installation options. Bitcoin releases are signed by a number of individuals, each with a unique public key. In order to recognize the validity of signatures, you must use GPG to load these public keys locally. You can find many developer keys listed in Bitcoin/Bitcoin repository, which you can then load into your GPG key database. For example, given the builder's key /keys.txt line, this one for Michael Ford, you could load using this command. Program files, GNU, blah, blah, blah. So yeah. The output of the command above should say that one key was imported, updated, has new signatures, or remained unchanged. It is recommended that you choose a few individuals from this list who you find trustworthy and import their keys as above, or import the keys. So basically, this is a verification of the PGP signature of developers to make sure that not only that you are on the correct website and downloaded the correct software, but also the software that you downloaded was signed by the Bitcoin Core developers. And when you open this in a new tab, you're gonna see the core developers and the PGP signatures that they have. So you have Aaron Clausen, Akira Takizawa, Andreas Schildbach. I know that he created one of the first Bitcoin wallets. Andrew Chow, Antoine Poinsot, and so on. So you pick a few of them and verify if the PGP keys contained in the software that you downloaded correspond to the ones presented here. That's kind of the point. So there are two steps in this verification that you downloaded the correct Bitcoin software. First of all, you have to look at the files that you downloaded and make sure that they're the exact same ones that are on this website. And the second part is about making sure that the software that you are running was created and signed by these developers. So what should I do right now? Let's download GPG. I guess this can be instructional. This is also some very cool Bitcoin shit, you know. I just love doing this. Anyway, I tried to play the bleep sound, it didn't play when I wanted. So let's get GPG, install it, and verify the signatures of the developers. I mean, I should also verify that I'm getting the correct version of GPG, right? So where's the verification for this? Of course, there's a PGP signature that I'm supposed to verify, and there's also a checksum. So after I download this, I'm also going to verify that I downloaded the correct version of GPG. GPG is basically a free open source version. Wait, so can I download without paying? Please donate. I mean, I would give these people some Bitcoin, but I don't have. I'm not sure if I have on my phone to scan, and I definitely don't have on this laptop. So it would be too complicated. Basically, you're supposed to give them some money so they allow you to download the software. On my phone, I only have liquidity for Lightning. And when you go to Bitcoin, they only support on-chain. Huh. But in here it says after making the transfer. So I guess this is the workaround, right? It says after making the transfer, download GPG for win. Like, there's no way for them to verify that it was me who downloaded. There is a lot of plausible deniability, and I was able to download this in spite of not donating to GPG. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna donate at some point. So I'm gonna assume that the software that I just downloaded is compromised. And I'm gonna go check the integrity. I have a signing certificate. There's a lot of stuff here. Checksums, GPG signatures, file lengths. So you're supposed to check all of this. To be sure that you got the correct version of GPG. And it gets pretty advanced from here on. My initial purpose was to create a very easy guide for you to download and verify Bitcoin Core, but it got very complex very fast, and welcome to Bitcoin, I guess. This is what sovereignty is about and what you're supposed to do. I see that I have a comment from Mircha who says, cool live stream. If the computer has an SSD as opposed to an older spinning hard disk, it will speed up a lot of the initial download of blocks. Yes, I should have mentioned this. It's very important to use an SSD, even though it has trade-offs, because if you want to be able to wipe the storage device, the SSD or whatever, hard drives like HDDs, hard disk drives are a lot more efficient at cleaning them and not leaving any traces, whereas SSDs, you need to destroy them if you use Bitcoin with them, and you don't want anyone to be able to recover that part of the data, you're gonna have to destroy it. Like put a spinning, what do you call it? Like a screwdriver, but it's automatic. What do you call that? I'm missing the word, but yeah, you're gonna have to destroy it afterwards. And I know this also sounds complicated and whatever. Welcome to Bitcoin. It's not supposed to be simple. This is the world of don't trust, verify, and decentralization. And right now I'm about to get GPG to verify that the software that I downloaded from bitcoincore.org is the same that was signed by these Bitcoin Core developers. And I'm gonna pick, for example, Jonas Schnelli, because he is the co-creator of the Bitbox hardware wallet and also former maintainer and very involved developer. I'm gonna also pick Luke Dash Jr. because he's one of the best known and very active, has done a lot of cool Bitcoin. Wait. Yes, cool Bitcoin dat. And also I'm going to pick Peter Willie because he is basically the Chuck Norris of Bitcoin. There's also this website. If you're here, you should know about it. It's Peter Willie Facts. This one. So you should know about this. If you're a Bitcoiner and you don't know some facts about Peter Willie, like this guy can mine Bitcoin blocks with pen and paper. We are all living in a simulated reality created by Peter Willie. He's a genius cryptographer, very prolific, has contributed a lot to Bitcoin. Peter Willie named his dog BC1 like this address. Peter Willie once stopped a riot at the courthouse by segregating the witnesses. Because, you know, he worked on SegWit and it was his breakthrough, the fact that he made it work. It was not his idea, but it was his coding. Peter Willie used Telnet to connect to IRC and speaks RFC 2812 natively. I'm not even sure what this is, but it sounds geeky. When the FBI asked Peter Willie to crack plausible deniability in BIP39, he proved the hidden Bitcoin stash of Karl Mark Force. FBI don't ask anymore. I think Karl Mark Force is one of the compromised Silk Road agents. Let's see. Let's Google him. So there's this... Yeah, DEA agent who faked a murder and took bitcoins from Silk Road. So basically the joke is that he was able to crack the Bitcoin stash of one of these corrupt agents, and the FBI will not ask anymore because, you know, they're scared of him. Dan Bernstein only trusts one source of random numbers, Peter Willie. Peter Willie wrote a one-digit checksum algorithm to prevent people misspelling his name. Well, this is funny because I say it as Willie, but it's like Wille. It's Peter Wille. And it's very hard to pronounce, and it's also easy to misspell. So, you know, English-speaking world, and we are dealing with someone who is... I'm not sure if Belgian or Dutch. Somewhere from that region. I think he's Belgian. Peter Willie is so much above the Balmer Peak that if you add him to the graph, you can't see the old curve anymore. If all else fails, Bitcoin should be restarted by syncing the code at the blockchain directly from Willie's mind. The 32-bit nonce of every block during Peter Willie's birthday is the hash of his name. I mean, these are some very geeky jokes, but somebody made them, you know, just like Chuck Norris facts. You have Peter Willie facts. And we should go back to verifying that I got the right software before I sync it and I lose all my Bitcoin because I trusted this. But I did verify that the software is correct. What I did not... what I verified is that the software was downloaded, in fact, from bitcoincore.org. And the hash corresponds. But what I did not verify is that the software is developed by one of these Bitcoin Core developers on this list who have these PGP signatures. And the guide for me to do that verification is right here. I need to get GPG, which is the open source version of PGP for which you don't have to pay, but you should make donations, which I did not, but don't follow my example. Be a good person. And see other installation options, blah, blah. So in order to recognize the validity of signatures, you must use GPG to load these public keys locally. You can find many developer keys, so I go to this website on GitHub, to this repository, and I take the keys and load them with this command. So once I install GNU GPG, I'm going to be able to verify keys with this command line text that I type. And this is one example of one developer, but I want to verify multiple developers and see if it's correct. The output of the command above should say that one key was imported, updated, has new signatures, or remained unchanged. It is recommended that you choose a few individuals from this list who you find trustworthy and import the keys from above. So an interesting fact about verifying Bitcoin Core is that a couple of years ago, you are verifying only one PGP address, and that was the PGP key of Vladimir J. van der Laan, who is the maintainer of the project. And before that, it was Gavin Andresen. I'm not sure if he is still on this list. Because he is. So there used to be a time when if you wanted to verify that you got the right software, you had to verify the PGP key of the maintainer. But right now, it seems like they democratized or they extended to not have a single point of failure, and you can choose by yourself which developer you prefer to make the validation. Not validation, verification. I was thinking of validation because that's what the node is doing right now in the background. It's only at 3.5558%. Chess Capital says that is very informative and he thanks me. So I appreciate it. This is very geeky. I know that it's not the kind of information that everyone is seeking, but it's useful to know because if you want to be a Bitcoiner, you have to learn how to verify. And it's not like I'm not learning something from this whole experience. I haven't used PGP before or GPG. I did verify using command line like this, that the software is correct to verify the hash, the checksum, but I did not get into GPG. And it seems like once I got here and I downloaded GPG, I opened a whole new Pandora's box with stuff that I need to verify. So what I'm going to do right now is to look for the checksum, which allows me to verify very fast, like check integrity. I think this is the exact same page, so I'm going to close one. So let's see which one. Okay, they have a wiki page on integrity checks. First of all, it says you should only run applications on a computer that you trust, and that's also applicable to the case of Bitcoin Core. Don't run it on some strange foreign computer that you don't know. And also using one method is good enough. Check the integrity of the GPG for Win packages. So you have the UAC method, which is A, And it's recommended when you try to run the installer on Windows, the user access control dialog will show the publisher. Check that it is the one specified to be. Interesting. So when you install, you should look at who the developer is, and you should also look at the file properties. So I'm gonna do this right now. It's not very complicated. Anyone can do it. You go to properties right here. And you have all of these details that you can verify. So you have this product name, you have this company, which I guess owns the copyrights. And you have digital signatures. Digital signature details, advanced, and you have all of this information that you need to verify. So the serial number is 47 this. It should start with 47 with 4F738. And it's correct, and it should end with CF912. And that's also correct. And what else is here? Do I recognize something else from these pairs? This is kind of overkill, so I did already verify that I downloaded from the right developer. Right now I'm just looking at the serial number, which is correct. And I also have authenticated keys. Let's go back here. So I did go to details of signatures. Try this if no publisher is shown, blah, blah, blah. And the other option is to go to MSDN sign tool, which is part of the Microsoft Development Tools. Open a command line, navigate to the folder and enter this. I haven't installed MSDN, but let's check the checksum of the file. So the name of the file, not this. Oh, screw you, Windows. So I wanted to click this. I did verify that I have the correct digital signature and that the manufacturer of the software is the one that I wanted. I just need to copy this. And I need to go to the command prompt. And once again, I need to type, what was there to type? Cert util, which is certification utility, hash file, and then the file name and SHA-256. So I paste this. No, not type 256. This is what I copied. Cert util. And right now I have to take the name of the file, latest version being 4.0.2, This is for 3.1.15. And I have to also type .exe because it's an executable file, and SHA-256, go. It generated this hash, which is 15, I need to get closer to see, 1583979. Where can I find this? Once you have entered the command, it will return an alphanumeric string, which you can compare to the GPG package integrity. So I open this, and which one is it? 158. 158. It's this one. Yes, for version 4.0.2.exe, which is the one that I used. I have this checksum that I need to verify. So it ends with A887. Am I seeing this right? 8A7? No, I was looking at SHA1, sorry, so I'm the idiot. 8A7, this is good. 1583979. Yes, basically if I copy this, no, not like this. Oh, I cannot copy from, or can I? Yeah, so it checks out. I copied it, I pasted it in the find function of the browser, and this is the correct checksum. So I did get the right software. I don't need to worry that I downloaded the wrong stuff. And now I can also verify the GPG or PGP signatures of, what's GPA? Privacy Assistant. Okay. I'm not sure what this is. Shell extension, OpenPGP. Okay. Whatever. 107 megabytes. So this is actually a very cool tool to encrypt your emails. And it installed. Now it's running. And what I have to do right now is take PGP signatures from the Bitcoin Core developers and verify that they are correct in the software that I also downloaded. I can sign or decrypt or encrypt files or decrypt or verify files. Let's see this. Downloads. Yeah, it's not the kind of file that works. No, I'm not going to import data. Let's do it from the command line as it says in the guide. So the point of this, once again, is to verify that the installation is correct. So I need to also verify that the right developers have signed this application which I downloaded. And I have their PGP keys right here. And I'm gonna take some of the ones that I know, like Luke Dasher, Dash Junior, or whatever. And I have to load the key using this command. C program files. Key server. And this is where I stop with the copying. And I go back to the command prompt. I paste this, but I have to delete everything about the PGP key and Actually, I can try this one. It's still from a developer. So let's see what happens. So program is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program or batch file. Huh. So I think I copied. Maybe that there should be a CD before it or something. So what it says is that I typed program files and it doesn't recognize this format. Mircea says you need to put the path in not brackets, in quotation marks because of the space character. Right, thanks. I was not sure what's wrong. So the path right here needs to be in quotation marks. The system cannot find the path specified. So I need to verify if the path is correct. There's a lot of verification here. So I need to go to local disk, program files. What's the name of this software that I downloaded? GPG for Win. It might just be in this section. So it's in program files, and in brackets it's x86, and yeah, I should tell them that the path that they wrote here is incorrect, especially if you want to copy and paste it. Which one is the executable file? Yeah, this is the privacy assistant, not the one that I'm searching for. I think I installed some extra stuff that was not necessary for me to perform this verification step. I only have 2 folders. There is no G here. I'm pretty sure that it's in GPG for Windows. What happens if I type GPG right here? Oh, this is the installer, not what I'm searching for. So I already verified this. As you can see, Bitcoin Core is available on lots of system architectures, from ARM Linux to ARM Apple to PowerPCs on Linux, RISC-V, x86, which is the Intel architecture, Windows 64, and it should be. It's useful open source software that you should be using. I did install this as GPG4Win. I'm in the right folder. I'm not sure where the executable is for this one application. Right here I have documentation. It shouldn't be this complicated, but here we are. Binaries, I guess, but these are DLLs. So it's all here. I have icon engines, image formats, platforms, print support, styles, translations. So the problem that I encountered is that the path which I copied from here is not correct. It's not program files GNU, GPG, GNU PG, but I should look for gpg.exe, gpg.exe. I wrote PGP, gpg.exe. No, I should contact Cobra or whoever is in charge of the website, because this structure is not correct. When you install the files, so it goes into program files x86, the name of the folder is not, as they say, GNU, but GPG4Win, and the executable is not gpg.exe. There is the uninstall gpg4win. Oh no, it's the installer once again. So which one of these is the executable? We have Cleopatra, we have GPG key adder and configuration file. We have GPA, which is an assistant. It's like we are trying to figure out what's missing from the Bitcoin Core website so I can actually report to them the fix. This is why it's an open source software, because I guess not many people have looked into verifying their install on Windows. So they must have left this here for a long time. I'm not even sure which version it was when they were using this. And probably nobody sent them any kind of report. GP. There's GPA. I need to generate a private key for this. What's my name? It's Fred. Come on. And an email address. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go through this step. So I'm going to contact the maintainers of the bitcoincore.org website. It's not Cobra. He's in charge of bitcoin.org. Bitcoincore.org is maintained by the developers. And I'm gonna let them know that this pathway is not correct. And I'm not even sure what the executable is, because that's what I need to figure out right now. I have to look through all of these files and realize which one is the old gpg.exe. I have GPA. Let's try with GPA and see if it works, just for the sake of it. So the pathway to get here is this one. I'm gonna go back here. And I'm gonna replace this with, so it's program files x86 not z, x. And then GPG for win. And then bin. And let's suppose it's gpa.exe. The system cannot find the path specified. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I know what I did wrong. I'm still in downloads. So Mircha also says you also need to escape spaces and paths with backslash. Yeah. It kind of sucks, you know. I'm not very happy of the Windows experience. I haven't used Windows for this before. It's also a first for me. So in program files, I have to actually... Oh, right. I get it now. I'm supposed to use this instead of the other slash. Still, the system cannot find the path specified. I don't really know what's wrong here. GPG for win. This is correct as far as I can tell. Maybe I need to capitalize the G in GPG for win. And then go to bin. Enter the space with backslash in front of it. So I'm not even sure what I'm doing wrong here. I did verify that I have downloaded the software from the right place. What I'm trying to verify right now is that the right developers have signed the software which I downloaded. In the background, the node is syncing, and it's a very passive kind of experience. Right now it says that it's gonna take 16 hours. Obviously, I don't think this live stream is going to be 16 hours long, but still, I'm gonna let you know how long it took. And I guess it would have taken less had I not done other operations in the background. But I need to contact the Bitcoin Core developers and let them know that this part is correct. Okay, so key server, this is where the key is stored. This is the PGP key, and I'm supposed to verify it. But I need to point to the application which does the verification. So basically the structure of this command is this application, please verify this PGP key. And I did install it, and it was the one that they recommended. So let's see, get GPG. There's a GPG suite. And there's this GPG for Windows website, which is also the one that they recommend. It says that you also have other installation options. Maybe I'm not using the right software, or maybe I am. This is a different website. This is the Windows version, GPG for Win. It got me to the exact same website. These are the source code releases. And they're for Linux. They're not going to work on the Windows machine. So the only one that's going to work on Windows, simple installer for the current GNU PG. Yeah, this is the best that I can get. So I did get the right software. I did try to verify one key, but it seems like it doesn't find the application in my computer. It doesn't have the right path to it. I don't know. So for now, I'm gonna be happy that I was able to verify this, and I'm going to contact some Bitcoin Core developers and ask them what's wrong with this structure. For reference, let's see at the verification process for a different operating system. So let's say Mac OS. The process is very much similar. You verify the checksum, and you're gonna get an OK message. So it's different with Mac OS, which is also based on Unix, just like Linux. You don't have to verify the checksum yourself. You're gonna get an OK message, which confirms that it's the same one. So it has this automation embedded into it. As for the command, it's also shortened. You don't have to write the source of the file in the command. You just have to write the application which uses it. So yeah, it's a lot simpler when you use macOS. And when you use Linux, even though I guess it should be more difficult, it's the same as in the case of Mac. So if anything, Bitcoin Core is more difficult to verify on Windows, which is interesting when you think about it. But yeah, it is what it is, and we have to adapt to the current situation. Thanks to this video, I figured out that on Windows, the verification process is not correctly typed in here. It kind of sucks that you have to identify where you installed your application, but they still need to update this as the name of the folders are no longer GNU and GNU-PG. And this only goes to show that people using Windows don't really verify. But I discovered something. I can become a Bitcoin Core contributor right now. Basically submit a pull request from GitHub and let them know that this is missing. There's something wrong with it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this. I'm very grateful that there are viewers for this kind of experiment. It was the first time when I did this on Windows, and I did try to do it on Mac before, and it's the same as on Linux. I've used Windows specifically because most people use it. And if you're on Twitter, you're in an echo chamber where people brag about their efficient Linux distributions and how private they are. But if you step outside of it, you're gonna talk with people who use Windows and they use their gaming PCs. I got a message from Mitcha, who is also watching this, and he's trying to assist me. You must escape spaces or press tab. I'm not sure where I need to put it. So excuse me while I respond to this message. But yeah, it kind of sucks that I was not able to do this, and it's my fault for not knowing how to use Windows properly. And you know, this instruction manual is not updated to the latest file names for GPG. So it's gonna need some sort of improvement. I'm gonna be back, so in the next video, in the next episode of Cool Bitcoin, I'm trying to play the bleep sound. Okay, I just did. Cool Bitcoin shit. That the bleep sound was supposed to cover it. I'm gonna update you on what happened with this. And honestly, it was enough to do the first verification to make sure that I got the file from the right place. Because if I got it from the right place, it makes sense that it was put there by the right developers. But there's always the chance that the website gets compromised, and even though you are on the right website, you have different developers who create a malicious version of the software, who put it here for people to download. There's always this probability, and you should always be extra cautious with what you're downloading. I know it's counterintuitive, and we come from the world where you get an app on your phone and it's from the App Store and you don't care. You don't spend time with verification. But this is about digital gold, basically. It's about your personal wealth. You need to be sure that you're running the clean software, the correct one, and it doesn't take too long to verify. It took me long because I haven't done this before on Windows, but you know, you should always verify the software that you download when it's about the device on which you're running Bitcoin. So a suggestion that I got in the command prompt section is to press tab where I write the pathway before this space in program files. Oh, I know what he means now. So maybe, just maybe, the fact that I typed it by hand was an issue and I need to redo it. So backslash, no, it needs to be inside of the quotation marks. And then what? GNU PG, this is the correct one. No, it's GPG for Windows. And now backspace and version. I'm supposed to be in bin. And then another backspace. So I can actually go through all of these .exe files and pick the one which I think is correct. Let's say that is gp.exe. And now I have to take that part with the key server, which is on the Bitcoin Core website. So basically I typed that part by hand. And maybe it was a bad idea and I made some mistake. Wait, I pressed enter by mistake. Right now it says option parsing failed on no option key server. So obviously this was not the correct application to open. It must be another one from the same folder. There's a lot of experimentation here, and this is what we do in the name of verifying. It should be a different one. So query loaders, modules, compile resources, compile schemas, gpgerror.exe, gpgmejson.exe. I'm not sure what's Cleopatra. Let's look it up. Is the front end for the crypto software. Crypto means cryptography, by the way. So maybe it's Cleopatra that's supposed to do all of this stuff. So let's paste the other part. Unknown options key server and receive keys. I'm definitely onto something. But I guess since I'm here, I can do all of this from Cleopatra. So what do I do? Certificate tools. Settings. My camera just died because it's been longer than 1 hour, I guess. How long has it been since I started? 1 hour 40 minutes, whoa. Quite some time. So I'm going to remove my face from here because my camera is dead. I'm not sure, is anyone still watching? Let me see. 4 people are watching, you people are crazy. If you're still here, like, you are heroes. You're really trying to learn something new and you are learning as I go. I hope you're also trying this because it's quite an exciting attempt. I mean, it's exciting for myself. I'm not sure what you think about it personally. But I need to remove this. Actually, not remove it, but make it not visible. I'm still new to this live streaming stuff. So I need to create an open PGP. I need an email. Okay, this is way too complicated. Decrypt verify button, maybe? I still need to open a file. Fail to find encrypted or signed data in one or more files. You can manually select what to do with the files now. If they contain signed or encrypted data, please report a bug. Input file is a detached signature. So in this command, I was trying to take this software and make it verify this key. It seems like this file was correct, so I did get the signature, which I already verified. I'm kind of lost here. So I'm not really sure. What I know for certain right now is that the new program for OpenPGP, for GPG actually, is called Cleopatra. It's not gpg.exe anymore, and the command does not work. So I'm gonna need to ask someone who is a Bitcoin developer, and I'm gonna be back with this. Until then, the point of this video was actually to show you a simple way to run a pruned node on your home laptop. I'm using very average hardware right now, so it's really nothing special. But it still takes a while. It's gonna take a lot less if I leave it as the main application right here. And I'm gonna leave this overnight and see how far it goes. Check out my Twitter, and I'm gonna keep you updated on this attempt. And I would like to very much thank you for paying attention to my little experiment. I'm gonna do a lot more Bitcoin stuff in this series, and a lot of more wacky, stuff that people don't usually do. There's a lot of tutorials out there, but they don't go too much into depth, and if they go into depth, it's only with products that are popular. I'm trying to basically do what's uncool, and it's not really being done out there. Let's see how long this lasts. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in another video from this series. Bye.